Hello guys, and welcome to a new Stow Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 3 versus 3 on Smolyany, and in this one I'm going to be playing with the 1E DFL, which is the first free French division available in the new Nemesis DLC, storming Toulon. Going to be joined by Smolyany and Smolyany on our team, who are going to be using the 3rd Armoured and 1E as well. And then we have on the Axis side Atago, Han and Klabalta, who are going to be using the 352nd Infantry, the Fallschirmpanzerhammergöring and the 1st Fallschirmjäger. So this video is pretty much just a gameplay to kind of showcase some of the new units and stuff available in this division. I said that I would take a look at it in game, like as a gameplay video, so here we are. Let me quickly go through my deployment. So we've got a lot of these like FFI partisans. These are really good because they come in the traction car, so they can zoom up really far deep into enemy lines at the start of the game, unload and catch enemy transports unawares. Then I've got an AT gun here that's going to be sitting a bit further back with the M10. I've got one squad of the BIMP. That's the ace unit available with the DLC, and then the Fusilier Marines there. Now, the aces, remember, do not give any better stats. There is no benefit to having an ace other than it maybe looks a little bit different. On the right hand side here, we've got Chucks. There's going to be the F5 partisans there. There's going to be an M10 at the start. Now, I do find like the 1E kind of interesting because it does rely quite a lot on the M10s, but I've got the ones in the tank or in the anti-tank tab in phase A. So those are there. And then I've got Macassars behind with the partisans and the 57mm. More Chocks, Bimps. Chocks are the really good close range infantry with Willy Pete's, which basically act the same way as Molotovs, in that when they land they cause a little bit of fire to be under the enemy unit, which makes them move, and because they move they lose their entrenchment bonus, and then you do lots more damage. Finally, I've got a squad of Legionnaires back here in the M5A1 half track, but my main thing that I've got to do is get this 81mm unloaded, this mortar here, and smoke the road. Playing on this side of the map on Smolyany, this road is pretty deadly because both players can deploy AT guns pretty early on and snipe their opponent's transports heading towards the 50-50. Generally though, what you can do when you play on Smolyany is just defend on your side and then help your teammates elsewhere, because there are other flags that are closer to the center, like this one for example, which are a lot easier to contest. Same with this one on the hill, in the town for example. Whereas on this side you've actually got a lot further to go to get to the enemy flags. So you can definitely play it more cautiously, but if you're going to play it aggressively, watch out for those AT guns for sure, and make sure that you have a plan in place. So in this case, me getting the smoke down so that I can cover all my transports and push really deep into the trees here early on and get a good foothold in this area, because if I can hold this area, then I can likely put my front line over this flag using the pressure from these trees. So that is the plan on this side. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this initially, but I did decide to go for it in the end. In general, I do think the 1E DFL, very aggressive division. It's very good in like 1v1, I would expect, because you do get access to M8s, you do have access to the tractions, which allow you to get certain infantry units up to the front very fast. Your infantry options are also very good, like the Chocks are very nice 2-star vet close range infantry squads that are pretty strong, and then you've got like Macassars, which are probably like on the edge of being like overpriced, but probably just balanced, I would say, where they're quite a large squad with Molotovs. And yeah, just the infantry quality is fantastic, so really good for 1v1 because of that. On the left side, lightning coming out at the start for Smolyany, really fast recon. This comes with the first free French as well. Nothing's going to catch that, no chance for the RE 2005. But let's check out here. You can see my smoke's going down, but what happens? Well, it doesn't actually cover the road. So I'm in a bit of a predicament here. Like, you can see the smoke is slightly to the right, So anything coming up this road can actually be fired on by this AT gun right now, which is really bad. Anyway, a lot of my partisans here do get killed off pretty fast. I don't really manage to get too many kills. I do lose a couple of transports. We get the unit in the GMC taken out there, and the Makassars go down. So, yeah, not ideal for me. That's my, I believe, one of my Makassar squads, and maybe one of the Chooks getting taken out there. Second round of smoke does in fact land on the road, which allows me to cover the M10 moving up. But yeah, I did take a couple of transport losses there, which is exactly what I wanted to avoid. But unfortunately the mortar didn't do the job. I did put some partisans up on this hill, and you can see that I did manage to kill one transport here. So the opponent here not really expecting the partisans to get up that fast. But here we go with the infantry engagements, the Chooks throwing their Willy Pete, getting rid of the Flammenwerfer. BF-109 coming in from the G2. BR-21 does take out my leader squad, but I have a second one. So I did bring up two just in case. And so the second one's alive, still giving me the extra veterancy, making the Chooks 3-star veterancy. And Otago's 352nd Infantry really doesn't match up very well to the 1E, so we're managing to slice through them pretty easily. The Flammenwerfers are very good at taking on, say, infantry squads like the BIMP here, where they don't have any sort of specialized close-range engagement tools. But against like Legionnaires and Chooks, which have a lot of submachine guns, they do get taken down pretty fast. And the BIMP here does also manage to take out the Panhard as well, so that was nice. And then we're going to continue the engagement at range against the Grenadiers, and Grenadiers just do not have the quality again against the BIMP squads or the Legionnaires, because not only do the Legionnaires do really well at close range, they're also pretty good at the mid-range as well, because they've got 8 rifles and the 2 BARs. And then the BIMP squads with 2 Brens and the 8 P17s as well. Managing to get some good hits onto the infantry on the right-hand side here. But just continuing to push through for now. Going to be engaging the Erzatstruppen, just trying to make as much ground as quickly as possible. I'm going to be bringing up a bunch of 50 cals now. These are 50 cal Jeeps. Very useful as recon on their own, but also because they are a 50 cal unit, they do in fact pin down units very quickly. So they can be used for that as well. The M10 does take a hit from an AT gun up here. It is in fact a PaK 43 from the 352nd Otago, bringing one of those in phase A, and you can see that I'm giving the order to do smoke once again onto this area. The Legionnaires pushing through, Chooks engaging the Grenadiers here. Not the most ideal engagement for them because they are using M1 carbines and the FMs, but it's still a reasonable amount of damage. If you compare that to the 0.7 damage from the Kar 98s and the 0.5 damage from the MG34, Chooks are still doing a reasonable amount. You know, they're only 0.3 damage short, really. So we're going to finish off those Grenadiers. Like, double MG squads would really be a problem for Chooks in this engagement, but I was getting the better of the Grens anyway, so that was fine by me. Flammenwerfer brought in, doesn't get any smoke down, so is going to get chewed up at range. Some of them do get closer and do manage to get some flames down. The Chooks do die. I'm just going to clean out this left side, get rid of that Grenadier. My Legionnaire squad gets a lovely double kill onto the Flammenwerfer squads with the HE. The Chooks are going to be finishing off the Battery Führer on the right-hand side. So the problem that the target is having right now is basically that the 352nd Infantry is not really made for these engagements. 352nd is actually one of those divisions that works out a lot better when you can have sort of mid-range engagements and long-range engagements, because they rely on like long-range support weapons, AT guns, and anti-tank vehicles, so Stugs, Jagdpanthers, and so on. So close-range engagement is not something they really specialize too well with, and you'd have to definitely sacrifice parts of your deck in order to supplement a close-range engagement. So at the moment, he's just keeping his Stug further forwards because he knows that I don't really have much here to take care of it. And that's maintaining presence over the flag alongside any infantry that he's also got here. And he can just leave me to sit in my trees here, and that's absolutely fine. Spitfire brought in. This is the Spitfire Mark 8. That's going to be bombing the Grenadier squad there, just going to be weakening that, because after taking control of these tree lines, I thought that I might as well try and maybe move over to here eventually. Still got all my partisans over here, as you can see, they're all hiding behind enemy lines, waiting for the opportunity to strike, and this is exactly what you want to do with partisans at the start of the game. BF-109's coming in again with their rockets. One of them smashes my squad directly. The second one doesn't really hit the mark. Bimp squad's perfectly fine, but another one comes in. Bimp takes a big hit there. Look at all those 50 cals firing away. Not really pinning down the BF-109 very much, though. Just looks cool. Lots of tracer flying everywhere. So we've got another couple of mortars back here, alongside the one I was initially using to smoke. And just keeping the road smoked every time I'm bringing up reinforcements, so that this AT gun, the 38, can't transport snipe. Since we got a brief sight on it, I'm going to be mortaring it with the 81mm mortars. The 1E DFL does get radio on their 81mm mortars, which is really, really nice. So using that to a great effect here to not only be more accurate, but also aim faster. But yeah, the trucks did die for that information. Now my 50 cal is going to be engaging that squad. I'm going to move up more and more of my squads here just to, or more and more of these jeeps, just to continue the engagement against the Grenadiers. Pack 38 goes down, so I know I'm clear of that. I'm just using the line of sight here to pick off these squads. Macassars do go down. Bringing up a Bofors to help with the BF-109s we've been seeing. Another Jeep 50 on the way. I'm also going to be bringing in a Fusilier Marine. This is generally for the 50 cal vehicle more than anything. Also does give me an infantry squad that will provide information, but yeah, that was generally for another 50 cal vehicle, because I was thinking of making a play with these vehicles in the forest eventually. And the mortars are firing up here because I spotted the AT gun briefly, or the pack that I saw earlier that attacked my M10. I tried to shoot at me again from here. But I get the 57 up, pop the Stug. Going to be moving it back immediately, because I don't want that to get killed. And moving up some more infantry here. We've got a new BIMP squad, we've got 2 chocks, and we've got the Fusilier Marines arriving. So I do need to make sure that I am almost preemptively reinforcing my side, because if I get a little complacent here, Atago could still build up enough forces to push through and kill off my guys. And they will like eventually weaken, especially with the support of aircraft and whatever else. 81 mils. Spotted the 81 flak there, so gonna take that out with the 81mm mortars, or like the flak 88, sorry, not the flak 81. Fusilier Marine's going to be moving up on the right hand side just to spot whatever's here, which is the Ersatztruppen. Fusilier Marines do have the 3 Thompsons and the M1 carbine, so they're pretty good at close range, and with the 50 cal support, no problem. Mortar strikes coming in onto the 88, looking to pin that down. BIMP squad did die. These are now 3-star Grenadiers. Atago doing well to get the veterancy up on his unit so that he can at least match my forces a little bit. And yeah, as you can see, I'm starting to really like push out now. I've given them a fast move order, and the plan here is to just rush with the 50 cals and try and surrender some of these units and surrender the 88. The 88's the big one. If I can get rid of the 88, then it does open up like a lot of options for me here. The Chock's still melting Ersatztruppen here. The Battleführer is a little bit of a problem providing all that veterancy, but that's 1 squad surrendered, 2 squads surrendered, and 88 we're gonna surrender as well. The M5A1 half-track was the one that he needed to kill. Got the Befehl Panther 38T here as his commander. It's doing some work against the scout car, and the M5A1 is actually the last one that he takes out. So they're going for the surrenders onto these Ersatztruppen as well. The F-109's coming in for the infantry. Unfortunately, don't get the surrenders onto the Ersatztruppen because they had the radius of the 38T. The Spitfires there coming in with the bombing strikes, managed to catch one of the BF-109s as well. Head-to-head with the BF-109 G6R4. Doesn't get either plane shot down, but I have brought up a Seafire, which is going to be helping out as well. You can see I've got them all targeting that unit. We're going to take it out, and I'm happy with that. Now I'm really hoping that I can take out the commander here, although the Befehl Panzer 38T can definitely kill an M8. But an M8 can also kill the 38T, so he's got to be careful. And he does back it up. Just gets it out of line of sight. Unless I killed it there. I can't even remember. Maybe we killed it here, because there is obviously the flames on the ground. But the C-Fire going to be helping strafe that AT gun on the right hand side there. Yeah, I think we did kill it at that point. I think my M8 probably got the last shot off just as we lost line of sight. So we took out the commander at that point, and now that Stug is dealing with my M10 at a distance. Doesn't really have any recon onto my M10. Maybe that was just a miss micro, but his Stug smashes my M10, and I'm going to have to use up the 57 here again to engage that. But loads more infantry arrived in the meantime. We're pushing through. We're moving these Ersatztruppen out of this area, and without the leader and without the commander, again, Otago's infantry is very inferior to my Chucks. So again, that's where he's going to be struggling throughout the game. 81 mils doing work onto the support weapons though. Going to be continuing that with the Pak 40 here. See, one of my partisans did get taken out on this hill eventually, but we still got two there, and the 57 does manage to take out the Stug on the main road. So finally we managed to grab this flag, temporarily at least, and we've also moved up and captured this flag, so that's where our advantage is coming from right now. And yeah, things are going okay. I guess the biggest counter to this kind of play is obviously off-map. Because I have so much infantry on top of one another here, a good off-map strike would really demolish my forces. And these aren't cheap, you know, they're 30-point squads, the Makassars, Chucks 25 points apiece. You know, that's quite a lot of points in there. One off-map strike lands on top of all of that and weakens the squads, and things are back to even between mine and Otago's infantry. And he does have pioneers coming up, which can trade pretty well, so do have to be careful. Now, since we're in Phase B, I do have the M4A4s on the way. Got some tanks here. They're going to be moving up and supporting my infantry at close range. These mortars are continuously trying to mortar the Pak 40 as it falls back. I did give my unit here an attack move order to move across to these tree lines. Going to be moving up the M10 to support that. Has used up all of its HE though, so it's not ideal. The F-109 is coming in for their runs. One hits the chocks pretty hard. The other one doesn't kill the AT gun. I think maybe Otago expected me to pull it back again like I did before, and therefore fire positioned behind where it originally was, and unfortunately missed. The Legionnaire is going to be moving up now with the BIMP, supported by the M10. This BIMP squad is currently taking a beating, but if I can get some Legionnaires and the BIMP into here, we can put pressure on the left hand side, maybe get our front line over this flag. So at the moment we're still kind of struggling to capture this flag because I don't have any like open range control on the left hand side there. But nice kill by the Bofors with the Spitfire's help. Takes that down nice and easy. My Spitfire takes a few hits from an enemy A8. Lucky to be alive, to be honest. But good job on the right hand side bombing out this squad and allowing the Fusilier Marines to move through and clean it out. Also brought up some infantry to push in on this right hand side. Just wanted to make sure I could secure this. Get rid of any infantry squads here. The main reason for doing that is so that we can stop these Ersatztruppen from spotting my units behind the trees. That's pretty much it. And I can get some AA quite far up then. You can see my C-Fire flew over this and then evac'd. I was quite literally just looking for that Ersatztruppen squad so I could bomb it. So there's Spitfire coming in now for the bombing strike. And we're going to be taking out that Ersatztruppen in the trees there. So the Bimps and the Makassars don't really need to do anything, and you can see I'm changing their orders to go for the further trees up here. And since I managed to clean out this left side, the Legionnaires are now capturing the bridge, Chucks are moving forwards with the Makassars and engaging the Pioneers and Özerstruppen and so on. Not the best engagement for these, but still okay. Bimp going to be engaging the Grenadiers. Take them out very quickly with the help of the 50 cows. Granite moving up. M4's going to be engaging any infantry down the road, and this is just a very, very difficult situation for Otago right now, because you can use like maybe some infantry guns like IG-33s or IG-18s to hit the infantry when they get to the edge of the tree line. I mean, even like MGs, for example. But you're never going to get through the tree line unless you've either got artillery support or the so I guess the Nebelwerfer there coming in, or good close range infantry, right? So in this case he's opted for like a Nebelwerfer, and that can pin down some troops, but you've also got to have troops on the ground to push forwards, and at this point we are doing pretty well on the like trading so far. So he's being forced to bring in more infantry, because if he doesn't, he loses control of the flag, and that's going to leave him with less points to spend on artillery. So it's going to take him a while to get artillery up, and so you can see like where the issue's starting to come from, because our trades with the infantry were so good early on. It's kind of put him in a very difficult situation. The HS-129 does get away there from my Bofors, but we do manage to keep my M4A1 alive. We've got artillery coming in from the right hand side now that's smashing my position. He's opted for like on-map artillery as opposed to off-map artillery. Again, off-map here would be absolutely insane. But yeah, at the moment we're capturing these two flags, or these three flags I guess, on this right hand side now, and the flag up on the hill. Things are relatively static on this left hand side, not any really extra flags captured. But yeah, we've managed to push through quite convincingly. The M3 howitzer back here also helping engage infantry from range. I'm trying to get my bimps up here, but we're having a bit of a hard time at the moment. Gonna get another Bofors in. Keep trying to shut down these BF-109s that can slice up my infantry. The Jeep 50 there, almost using all of its ammunition actually. Not something you see too often. Generally these die to suicide pushes before you use up their ammunition, so yeah, that's quite something. But my M4A1s are moving up. But here comes the Jagdpanther. Here it is, the bad boy. Boom. It's one of my M4s, but doesn't kill it. The Jagdpanther only has 8 damage, so whilst it does have a lot of penetration, it doesn't necessarily do one-shot kills on medium tanks, unless it gets a crit. So my M4A1 stays alive, and I managed to fast move them up the road to avoid a second shot. So that puts them in an interesting position over here, where I can maybe attack up this hill and into the light cover with the support of any infantry nearby. And that's kind of what I'm looking to do next. I've got plenty of Legionnaires here. We've got some of the Legionnaire Pioneers as well. These are the ones with the flamers. These are interesting squads. I currently feel like these are a bit expensive for what they offer. They are a double flamer squad, so they're pretty good. But without like smoke grenades or a machine gun maybe, they just don't really seem worth it. I did manage to pick off a Panzer IV over here. My partisans that have been hidden there the whole game score a Panzerfaust kill onto the Panzerschreck, or onto the Panzer IV, sorry. So that was really, really good. And with the smoke coming down here to block off the sight of the Jagdpanther, I used the opportunity to move up my Pioneers to the right hand side so that we can push through this tree line, as I've set my Makassars to do there. So Legionnaires moving up as well. Now, maybe a little late on the push with the Legionnaires. You can see that Otago is now trying to counter battery my mortars as well, since they are proving to be quite an issue throughout this game for him. Obviously they've been taking out support weapons, they've been providing me with smoke, so him getting rid of those would be nice for him for sure. On this side, my M10 try and get it away from the engagement with the Pack 38 and the Tiger, but it doesn't really have much armor, so it does get taken out. New M10 is already on the way up there, and I have managed to get some AT guns further forwards, and this is something that I think is a really, really good tip for people to do. If you ever get like a big advantage in a game in Still Division, make sure that you get your support weapons up. So get your AT guns right up to the front, so that it makes it really, really difficult for them to bring back or take back any ground. So I've actually got 2 AT guns here. I've got an AT gun here. So any pushes down this road with any form of vehicles will be stopped at range by the AT gun. And that's super important. So Legionnaires getting in here with the M5A1s. Unfortunately, our AA doesn't really extend too far forwards here, so these BF-109s are pretty safe to just continuously rocket my infantry in this situation. But whilst they're sitting on the edge of cover, I've got to use my M4A4s and the 50 cals and the Legionnaires to engage them. Once they're then dealt with, these Legionnaire Sapper Pioneers will be a lot better off. Now, unfortunately here I do get killed off by a rocket. I think that might have been a Panzerfaust, but I'm not entirely sure. But Han does surrender on our opposing team at this point. Ju-88 coming in for the bombing strike does end up going down. I have moved this Bofors up as far as I can. Basically got it attack moving to the edge of the top of this hill here, so that it reveals itself like slightly and has line of sight to the air, but can't be shot at like from the left side here or from the tree line. But my push here does kind of get dismantled pretty well. My half tracks get blown up, my M4s die, and so I kind of just pull back my infantry for now. Gonna put down some smoke, and that's going to be an opportunity for my flamers to maybe get a little bit closer. Get an SPW-233 on that side. Tiger's now pushing in further because the AI took over from Han. We're back to 17-9. And I've got a bunch of M10s on the way. So at this point, I think I was floating quite a bit, so I thought it would just be fun to bring in all of these M10s. These are the M10s that you find in the tank tab as opposed to the anti-tank tab, which is something that's quite interesting about the 1E DFL. They do have the different gunner on it, which is cool, and the different markings. Very, very awesome. We got these coming in all at 2-star veterancy. Just planning to potentially get on top of this Jagdpanther if I can. So Makassar's moving up there. Get nice and close to the Citadungs. Gonna lob a TNT over the smoke. These flamers get close to the Citadungs on this side. Just gonna absolutely melt those. And all the while that Otago is having to deal with me pushing up on this side, he can't really make a consolidated effort to push back onto this area, or even this area, for example. So by doing this, I'm just keeping up the pressure, making sure that he can't bring anything back. Got my stuff like kind of more loosely spread out here. The Jagdpanther in position with the MG42s to back him up. This is what I was talking about earlier, where the MG42s, they're great as long as I sit on the edge of the trees. As soon as I'm like further in, I can dictate the range that I want to engage these infantry squads. And that can be really, really awkward if you don't have your own decent infantry. Unfortunately, my flamer squad there gets blown up by a HE. But we're still going to be pushing forwards with the remainder of these, as he has brought in more units to face them. Just hoping to get my HE off before this Legionnaire dies. That's just about. We're going to do a lot of damage there. The Pioneer goes down. And with this push heading towards us, I'm just going to push in with all the M10s against it. I've got the smoke coming down to cover my M10s. I do still have to be a little bit careful, because Citadungs can in fact penetrate M10s quite well due to the Granatbuchse being heat. And also, of course, if I drive through the smoke and there's like a Volksdeutscher behind it, then it might hit me with its Panzerfaust. So yeah, I've got to be a little bit careful. But just the charge of the M10s right now. full frontal assault. Looks really cool, actually, coming through the smoke with all these M10s. Check that out. Pushing back that infantry. I'm going to try and make a breach over the edge of the hill. But that is what we call a flak-filling. And that alongside the AT gun and the vehicle up here absolutely demolished that M10. And I realise it's probably pretty futile for me to try and push that. But I'm going to have to tuck up against this hill because the off-map's now coming in. This is the 381mm off-map that the 352nd get access to, and I assumed Ataga had it available in Phase C and not earlier on, otherwise it probably would have had a hard time. And then again, it would have been just a matter of if he wanted to deal with my infantry in the early game or in the late game, but I guess at this point, you know, it's a little bit too late, so I guess you'd want to kind of deal with it early on. Regardless, my M10s are doing a lot of damage here. We've managed to take out a lot of these units. I'm pushing back these Volksdeutsche with the M5A1, just continuously pushing them down. The Pak 40 is going to be engaging my M10, but here comes the big old off-map, and my M10s are going to have to retreat. It absolutely demolishes two of my M10s there, and the others are forced to fall back. And this Pak 40 is in like the perfect position, so I'm gonna have to get my smoke down very quickly. Stug's gonna try and come over the ridge. My AT gun wasn't quite in position yet. Thankfully that Stug's stopping early. M5 goes down near the river there, looking for the shots onto that Stug. Try and save some of these M10s because, yeah, they were left in a bad spot. Pak 40 though finds a shot through the gap there, and well, whilst my M10s continue to do the orders I gave them before, they're gonna get sliced up by that Pak 40 really badly. I'm just trying to get more and more smoke down because obviously, as you can see, I brought up another 4 tanks. This time the M4A1s, or M4A4s, sorry. One of my 81mm mortars finally gets killed by counter battery. I'm just basically throwing men against a brick wall right now. But in one last hurrah, because it's only 1 minute till the end of the game, I bring in my Spitfires and the Seafire and the B-26G Marauders. And the plan here was to have the Spitfires bomb the flak-filling. Once the Seafire let me know where it is, and then have the B-26s bomb the Jagdpanther to death with their 8 227kg bombs. So as the flak-filling's attacking the heavy bombers, I get rid of it, and that allows me to drop the rest of the bombs onto the Jagdpanther. Looking for the kill there. Unfortunately, not going to find the kill. Not this time. If all of those had managed to drop their bombs, that probably would be dead, but with the flak-filling pushing off the first one, that wasn't quite the case. Take out the off-map just for good measure at the end there. The BF-109 going to try and get on the back of my aircraft, but just swinging that around. I was going to go for the kill, but saved by the bell. 29 minutes, 52 seconds. 3,075 kills, 1,780 losses. Other two players, Stemsource and Smolyany, did really well on my team for sure, but we're the ones who held the flags at the end of the day. Took the 3 flags on our side. It was a really tough game for Ataga, that one. His infantry just doesn't match up to the 1E DFL, but it does really show the quality of the infantry this game, of the French. The Legion, just really, really cool units. You don't get much availability of like the Legionnaires, but they are pretty damn strong, and they also are decent at like mid to long range as well because they have the 2 BARs, so that's really cool. The Choc's also very, very strong close range infantry squad, and then you've got the Bimps that provide the bazookas, so you got pretty much everything you need for like a successful close range engagement. I would say that the one thing that like the 1E really lacks is like armor projection and like projection across open ground. So like not being able to really sit on the edge of that tree line for a very long time kind of slowed down my ability to continue to push. So I was having to rely a lot on smoke to advance my units. And that can sometimes be a tough place to be in, because like the best penetration you've got is on your AT guns and your M10s. And your M10s don't even get APCR. So yeah, you're quite weak on the armor front, to be honest, in this deck. And that can mean that in positions like that, whilst you do have good control over close range engagements, longer range engagements can be quite difficult, and you have to find a workaround. So yeah, the smoke again was the way that I was doing that in this game. Yeah, that is basically it. That is the 1E DFL. I really like this division. I think it's really cool. It's really unique. A lot of the infantry is really fun to use. I think it's going to honestly be a much better sort of like 1v1, 2v2 deck because of the way that it has really strong infantry and also like the fast 50 cal vehicles in the early game, as well as the ability to bring in like Shermans and stuff early on if you want to. So in like a Vanguard or Maverick deck, the 1E would be pretty good. Balanced, it's a little bit weaker, but there are ways to make up for it, either with maybe some artillery or with the bombers like the B-26s. Like for the late game, that is. But either way, yeah, really fun game there. The Flammenwerfers, yeah, just not really matching up to the Chucks, as you can see. Really tough time for Otago, but some nice kills on these units for sure. Losses there as well. The Jagdpanther definitely made it very difficult for me to push up, and the off-map, if it came in sooner, would have absolutely demolished my units. But thankfully, it was too late at that point. Otherwise, things, I don't know if they would have turned around, but they certainly would have, I don't know, been a bit closer there. And that's it, yeah. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed that look at the first Free French. I had a lot of fun like charging those M10s across the open, and I wanted to definitely show that off, and just the deck in general. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.